Hello and welcome to Elements of Design, a podcast where I interview design leaders, mentors, influencers, and evangelists and talk to them about their design journey, how to be a better designer, and the future of design in India. I'm your host, Mana Madan, a UX designer based out of New Delhi, India. In this episode, I'll be having a conversation with Soo Basu. Sue is a storyteller, a designer, and currently a principal design manager at Microsoft. She has been working as a designer for 16 years now and has worked in companies like Adobe, Times Internet, IBEBO, Ace Wireless, and many more. In this episode, we're going to talk about her journey. How did she become a storyteller? Why storytelling should be an integral part of a design process, and how storytelling can help you sell your design and your vision. So let's welcome Sue to our show. Hey Sue, hi. Welcome to Elements of Design. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for inviting me on your show.
I really want to talk about some of the topics that we have discussed, and storytelling is something that I also like very much and want to integrate it in my workflow. So take us through your design journey.
The overall theme of my journey has been actually, if you look back, is one of, I think, curiosity and learning.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very curious about how can you sort of create, how can you make people laugh? And then jokes are one thing, but how do you make people laugh with a message? And then I
Mm-hmm.
realized there are other feelings also besides laughter. And design can be used to, improve scenarios and create a better experiences. And that was sort of what was driving me throughout the early part of my career. And then I got into interaction design quite by accident. I was making Flash websites. The field of interaction design wasn't even born.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when I finally joined this company called IBEBO, that was sometime in 2006, we were creating so many different things. And in those days, we were just trying out new products every week.
Mm-hmm.
We really did not um, have a kind of a clear vision at that time about what we wanted to build, except that let's try to get the Indian population online. Let's try to make them engage with the internet. And it was a lot of fun. And I think after working there for a couple of years, then I was again driven by my need to learn more about the field of interaction design. So I went to do my master's in Sweden, and it was there when I realized that design is actually a very integral part of all of their processes. How a city is planned, how civic practices are laid out. In fact, one of our projects was about how do we create empathy for immigrants who are
Mm-hmm.
coming to stay in that country, coming from a different country and coming to stay in that country. And we had to create installations, put them in the city park, and see how people engage with those installations. So back when I came back to India, I joined Times of India for a very short time. It was a very
Mm-hmm.
interesting time for um, this for the company because they were trying to get online. It was the first time they made their mobile app. I was consulting on that. I learned a lot from each of the people in that industry who had been there for a while, had amazing insights. But then I got an opportunity to work for Adobe. And while at Adobe, I think we learned about working as a team and what was the team culture like. Because before that, designers and design, there was no design team as such. You were just an isolated designer working with a bunch of other, product engineering, different disciplines like that. But there was no
Mm-hmm.
concept of a design team or how a design
Mm-hmm.
team is structured or anything like that. Interesting thing was when Microsoft got in touch with me. Again, it was for a very interesting project. It was for Microsoft's browser, Microsoft Edge, which was almost like had a very negative brand image at the
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yeah.
And it seemed like a real challenge. It's like, first of all, in the world, how many browsers are there?
Yeah.
So, as a UX designer, you don't get much opportunity to work on a browser. And the second thing was
Exactly.
with its negative brand image, there was so much impact that you could do. It's been a very adventurous ride, I think, for
Yeah.
the last nearly 18 months that I've been with this project.
So to everyone that who don't know, I recently attended UX Now, the design conference, and Sue actually presented how she used storytelling as a part of different development cycles of Microsoft Edge project. So I really wanted to know how you actually use storytelling in the various design processes, rolling out various features. And some of the movies were really, engaging and to the point, and would love to if you could expand on that.
One of the ways in which storytelling really helped us was to create a common vision for everybody in the team to buy into.
Mm-hmm.
For example, in one part of the project, which is about how a user would download, install, and go through the splash screen and the
Yeah, yeah,
onboarding process into the product.
yeah.
For
Mm-hmm.
that, there are at least 13 or 14 stakeholders in different engineering teams, different marketing teams, design teams working together to create that experience
Mm-hmm.
together for that one particular 7 or 8 seconds of experience.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you bring all of these stakeholders together to work on a common vision? We strung along that entire experience into a film so that everybody could understand what's going to happen from moment to moment. Every microsecond was detailed out, and
Yeah,
every single interaction and response of the system
yeah.
was envisioned. And
Mm-hmm.
when we showed that, it made everybody total I mean, we obviously got feedback, but everybody sort of bought into that vision, and everybody understood what each team is supposed to do to make that happen. Making films like this really helped us to first envision for the team, secondly envision for all the different distributed teams,
Mm-hmm.
and also create like a continuous thread that will go on for the length of the project. I think it served as a living design spec.
Yeah.
Storytelling can really help to bring people together on a vision, and it can create a sense of desire in them to be
Mm-hmm.
part of a new thing, to be part of something different.
How much time did you spend in creating each of those stories, and how did the ideation happen? What was the whole process like?
In terms of time spent, it's some films do take us longer. The
Mm.
actual polishing of the film sometimes can take longer. So if you're
Yeah.
making a film that has to go to an external audience, then we take a longer time. If it's something for an internal audience, we just use placeholders and all of that just to put something out so that there is a common vision first. So something like 3 to 5 days is what a designer would typically spend
For like a story, piece of story,
for a piece of story and
piece of
collaborate
animation. Yeah.
piece of animation. Yeah, maybe something which is like a minute.
So when you are creating a story or finalizing a story or at least writing a story, how do you create? How do you keep subjective feedback out?
Story and film being such a visual medium, there will be subjective feedback
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it does resonate with people, but sometimes they don't have the right words to explain what is not working for them. So
Mm-hmm.
first thing I would advise is always be patient and listen to where they're coming from. Like
Okay.
something is, even if they say, oh, it does not feel right, even if it's a sentence like that, try to
Mm-hmm.
find out what is it that is disturbing them and it's not making them feel it's the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe go through the whole thing slowly and try to feel if there's try to probe deeper about something. Usually there is a moment where you can understand what exactly is making them uncomfortable. So I would say that spend the time to hear everybody's point of view, but
Mm-hmm.
there is a vision that will work for the customer. If all the feedback is sort of working towards that, that's
Mm-hmm.
good because you can address that. But be open to saying that, we consider this feedback. This did not fit in with this particular customer perspective, so we left it out. Another thing we typically do is be very clear about the message, why this film is being made, and what are the principles of the design experience that is ultimately going to be shipped. Like, for example, if it's about building trust and transparency, then anything that does not fit in with trust and transparency, you can sort of negate and say it'll not work with the principle.
How about what about the ownership? I mean, how many people does take the ownership generally during when you are creating a story, or how many should be there actually?
So typically, everyone gives feedback and everyone has a say,
Hmm.
but ultimately it's with our motion designer, our motion
Okay.
designers. So we
Hmm.
trust their judgment and we trust their filmmaking skills. We might make a few changes here and there. We might say, okay, include more of this person or include more of this particular user problem. But they will be more superficial or sort of structural feedback. The overall vision, we will trust the motion designer. That has usually worked out. We've never had to question their choice of pattern or their choice of, overall vision of the film.
So now I'll come back to a very basic question, which is what actually makes a good story.
Actually, Olinda app is a very interesting project where storytelling actually also played a very important role. It's this mobile app concept that I came up with many years ago. It was about how you can create art with augmented reality and post
Hmm.
it on the physical city walls using Adobe software. So the app is actually that how can a user pick a surface and then create a message digitally and then post that message onto that physical surface. So for that, I had made a video, a guy who wants to propose to his girlfriend. And the important thing to communicate here was that this app will help him make a message which is truly special for the two of them. So the story is about this girl, and she gets a box delivered to her. Inside the box is a letter, and says it's from her boyfriend, and it says, "Meet me at India Gate at 3 o'clock." And
Hmm.
he sends her a phone, and on the phone is the app installed. And she uses that app, and she goes there, and the app says, "Hold it up to the India Gate." And when she holds it up to India Gate, she sees "Marry Me" written
Written on
on the
India
India
Gate.
Gate.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly, with which she's seeing on the screen, but it's not there in the real
yeah.
India
Real
Gate,
world.
of course. In that moment, she sees her boyfriend walking towards her, and he
Yeah.
had created this special moment using this app. We showed her getting the box, and then we showed her reading the message, and then straight away we cut to grass, and we just see her feet on the grass. So
Yeah.
throughout the film, you don't see the person really. You see the hands opening the box, you see the hands seeing the phone, and then you see the feet walking, but you get the sense that this is the girl, and
Mm-hmm.
you
Got
get
it.
sense that there is the boy sending her this message. So
Hmm.
what you choose to show in the most minimal way, and what you choose to not show, can create that sense of drama.
What are the challenges a storyteller faces in the age of micro entertainment, where everything has to be very crisp and short to be consumed, like the age of TikTok? What are the challenges that a storyteller actually faces in this environment or this age?
Yeah, actually, that's a very good question. And um, storytelling can happen in any moment.
Okay.
It can be a few seconds, it can be an hour, but you
Okay.
draw the audience in through engaging the curiosity of that audience. So in micro stories, the frame is actually the most important aspect, than the duration. So what
Yeah.
you bring into the frame, you basically need the audience to be very curious. You can even have a frame where nothing's happening, but at the edge of the frame there is a cat's tail,
Mm-hmm.
or there's a broken glass. Something happened in that frame and now it's
Yeah.
gone, it's past. So even that can create that sense of atmosphere or curiosity, and the audience or the viewer is looking and wondering, okay, either what's going to happen or what happened
What
and
was
what did I miss.
the Olinda app that you were talked about, right? It's you the video that I saw was 12 years old, and at that time envisioning something using AR, which is, although it's mainstream today, it's not still in like consumers hand, right? How do you like envision that kind of interaction at when the technology is yet to come through?
There is this book by Bill Buxton called Sketching User Experiences.
Okay.
So he actually says that you should be thinking of every possible design experience as possible stories that you create.
Okay.
You don't have to figure out what is the correct thing right in the beginning itself. You can say,
Hmm.
"What if this happens?" So here's an outcome based on that. Sometimes you can use a structured thinking approach.
Okay, which is?
There is this book by Edward Bono called The Six Thinking Hats. So he talks about this tool called provocation. You can use that provocation tool to sort of help you think differently. What if
Mm-hmm.
this becomes really small? Or what if this becomes really big? What if people don't do this but then do the opposite?
Mm-hmm.
And he gives a set of these provocations that you can sort of use to imagine possible outcomes of the concept that you have,
Makes
or to
sense.
solve the problem in different ways. And when you create these little thought experiments, you are going along on a journey. So, as I was saying, imagination can be a really key skill. And then you can use these tools of provocation and six thinking hats and sketching user experiences. They have a
Mm-hmm.
number of different ways to do that
Yeah.
to spark off your imaginative thinking.
So, lastly, what I want to ask you, Sue, is uh, in the beginning, you mentioned that you started designing for web at a very early stage when you started doing Flash and all, right? Now you have lived that whole era, and today we have like mobile phone as a very integral part of our lives, right? So you have seen that journey from using WAP to WWW on the mobile phone. What do you think is the future of design now, and keeping India in perspective?
India is in that moment when we have leapfrogged that desktop generation and laptop generation and
Mm-hmm.
gone straight to mobile. And then the fact that mobile is portable. In India, a lot of our work is not sitting behind desks. We are in the
Mm-hmm.
field, we are working, we are here and there. Our sometimes the workplaces are flexible, our work life is flexible. People are on
Yeah.
the move. They need
Mm-hmm.
to commute long distances. So the mobile has really become India's laptop. And then the next wave will be with AI and ML, where the mobile phone will be the hub through which AI and ML come to the household. But maybe it will not be the primary interface. The primary interface will be through these home gadgets like Alexa or Google Home, which again is a separate device.
Mm.
And that device is powered by the phone, which does not need to be the primary interface. And that device almost becomes like a family member.
Yeah, that I think that yeah, it really makes sense. But still, the adoption of these devices are like really low in India. So yeah, we hope that wave comes very soon. So it's a great episode, Sue. Really enjoyed talking to you. Really interesting perspective, and I would surely try to integrate storytelling in my workflow as soon as I get a chance. I think I have to create a personal project out of it, right? I will do. I will create a personal project use storytelling as a part of the process. So thank you for doing this.
It
So
was a great pleasure, Manav.
yeah, same here. Likewise. Okay then. See you. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Elements of Design. Links to everything mentioned in the episode will be available in the show notes below. To listen to our previous episode, search for Elements of Design in your favorite podcast app and make sure you hit subscribe. If you like the episode or the podcast, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast or any podcast app that you're listening to. It will help the show gets discovered and it would mean a world to me. If you have any feedback, suggestion, or if you just want to say hi, please reach out to me on Instagram at UXANDMORE. That's UX and more, one word. And with that, I'll take a leave. Hope to see you in the next episode. And remember, work hard and be nice to people. Chinkwi.